now?
I'm here with Esther Kieffaber. She's been a member of St. Michael's Lutheran Church in Marshallville all her life, and she knows some interesting stories which she's agreed that she'll tell us about. So, Esther, we want to get these good stories on video here. And one of the things that I know about is that you've got a connection with the founding pastor of St. Michael's, and what can you tell us about that?
Well, Reverend Wyatt was the grandfather of my grandmother, and he came from Pennsylvania and settled. His circuit was around in this area. He had Canal Fulton, Madisonburg, Doylestown, and so on, but he had a farm east of Doylestown. And so we've been connected with the church, and both my father's side of the family and my mother's, and like myself, I was baptized there, confirmed there, married there, and was there for the good times and the bad times that life brings. And St. Michael's, as I was young, was known as a family church. And we gathered on Sunday morning, and we sang together and worshiped as part of Sunday school. And then we had classes for everyone in what would now just be the sanctuary. And then
they didn't have the social hall at that time.
That was the end of the 40s. I'm not even just sure the end of the 40s or the 50s. It was about the time that Chester and I were married. And then we waited for the minister to come down from Doylestown. And basically the sanctuary is the same as what it's been all these years, except that the altar used to be against the back wall.
Yeah.
And was moved forward. And some of the highlights were the Christmas program, which was at night, where all the children and many adults participated. And we had carbide lights, and sometimes it didn't feed down, and so the lights would start to go out, and somebody had to go out and open up the acetylene unit and stir down the carbide, and the lights came back on, and it was just taken for granted.
Yes.
And we had Children's Day programs where just the children participated, a special time set apart for that. And
you remember participating in those kinds of things?
Yes, and we had costumes, and the manger is still out at St. Michael's. But we had these things that were used from year to year, and it just kept adding to them. And just like for Children's Day, there was angel costumes and so on. And children at that time didn't have the other activities in school. The things old ladies sometimes talk too much, but just recently someone said to me, well, you always went to Luther League and everything. And I said, yes, that's the only time you got the car. And that was the only thing there was.
Yeah.
So you went.
There are a lot of advantages to participating in that.
And the things I remember of growing up is my folks, when we had preparatory service for communion on Saturday, and that was very important to them. And once in a while, if they didn't make that, maybe the road wasn't too good east of town to get out to the church. They didn't take communion on Sunday if they got to church on Sunday when communion was served, if they hadn't been to preparatory service on Saturday.
So that was to be a kind of a confession time to get you ready.
It was a time of confession and thought and preparing, and they were concerned if you had communion too often, it would just become commonplace and it wouldn't be set aside as this special event.
Mm-hmm.
And as I grew up in the sanctuary, a lot of the men sat on the north side of the church and the women on the south side, except on Communion Sunday when the men would join in the family. The children sat with the mothers, most of them, except boys sat with the men, and some of them. And I remember that we sang carols all during Advent, which we don't do now.
Maybe we'll have to work a few in.
And we didn't have social events in Lent. And it was, everyone felt like it was an extended family. And as I mentioned to the pastor before, through the years, things just got done at St. Michael's. Mm-hmm. That if someone knew there was some need, mysteriously it was taken care of.